Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, whatever time it happens to be for you while you're watching this. Welcome to HeCsUsAll YouTube channel. Today I'd like to address the horrible statement that Oprah made on her show about Micheal Jackson and his victims. But before I get into all that, I would like to quickly thank Tegan O for donating to the channel. Thank you so very much, Tegan. I've made you a thank you card and I'm going to hopefully be mailing it out tomorrow. I really hope you like it. I actually spent quite a bit of time making each one of these thank you cards, so I hope that everybody I've sent them out to enjoys them. In case you're new to the channel, I'll just let you know real quick what's going on with the thank you cards. When I started this channel, I not only told myself, but I told God that I would not ask for money on my channel the way churches do with tithes. There should be no fee for spreading God's word, God's message, or even just general information. I do have a PayPal and a Patreon, and I do accept donations, I just don't ask. If people feel compelled to donate, my Patreon is directly linked on my channel, as well as a link to PayPal, and I think you just enter my email address. And I have recently, upon request, started linking both of these in the description box of my videos. So when someone donates, I make them a personalized thank you / prayer card, and I do this because I want people to know how much it means to me, that they want to help the channel grow and get better. It means so much to me that people support what I'm trying to do here and that people appreciate my voice in this battle. So I send out a card as soon as I can. Remember, I have to make them first, and I publicly thank them as well, as long as they don't wish to remain anonymous. And even if they wish to remain anonymous, I still send out a card if they want that. So again, thank you so very much, Tegan, and may God continue to bless you and keep you and your family safe in these dark days ahead of us. So, now to Oprah. This is bad. A couple days ago, a subscriber to the channel, Barb, she sent me this, she's a really awesome person. I've spoken with her over the phone this week, and I've messaged her quite a few times. We've texted. She has her own channel called YTchannel, and she actually made a video about Jehovah's Witnesses that I'm going to link in the description box down below. So you guys could go check out her video and get an idea of what was really going on within the Jackson family that's completely unspoken of otherwise. She sent me the link to the original video of Oprah's episode interviewing Micheal Jackson's victims, who are obviously grown men now, but were small boys when Micheal molested them. Now, after speaking with Barb, I've come to realize that the Jackson family, most likely all of them, were Jehovah's Witnesses, and that's why I would like you to check out her video to understand, I guess you could say, the culture behind the Jehovah's Witnesses a little bit better. Now I'm going to show you guys the specific clip that I'm referring to, where Oprah has just publicly proving she is not only insane, but quite obviously a major part of the agenda to normalize pedophilia. I'm going to show that clip to you guys in just a minute. I just want to let you know that I'm going to throw a filter over it and slightly speed it up or slow it down. I'm not sure. I'll do whatever I think looks better and sounds better for each video. They're going to be short clips as well. I'm going to do whatever I think is going to avoid strikes, obviously. But before I show it to you, I want to say a couple of things. One being, don't watch this clip if you have kids in the room. Oprah may be on daytime television, but what I'm about to show you guys is not only disturbing, it's absolutely disgusting and repulsive. And the second thing I wanted to say was, while watching this episode in its entirety, I noticed that Oprah would laugh and smile at extremely inappropriate times. She really gave off the sadistic, sociopathic, or even psychopathic type of vibe. She's got something really dark inside her, without a shadow of a doubt. You would have to have something dark inside you to sympathize with pedophiles. And not only sympathize, but go on national television and say something like this. And now again, I'm going to warn you, if you're sensitive or a victim of molestation yourself, you may not want to hear this. So here's one clip.
And it feels good. I mean, if you're 7 years old and somebody, which I was trying to say this to my friends who had children, you're 7 years old and someone is stroking your penis, it feels good. Right. Even though you don't have a name for what that is, it feels good.
And that was such a particularly challenging.
After I watched this, I'm not gonna lie, I was completely infuriated. How could anyone say something like this? When you're 7 years old and an adult touches you in an inappropriate way, it doesn't feel good. Most children, and this is from a far more personal perspective than I wish I had to offer, most children are terrified in that moment. Not only terrified, but completely frozen. And yes, it is usually someone that you know or trust or someone your family trusts, and that's what makes it so terrifying. What threw me off more about what she just said, though, is that Oprah's used her own sexual assault as a child many times over in the past, not only for publicity, but sympathy from her audience and fans as well. I've heard this woman talk about how she was raped as a young girl and that her abuser then took her out for ice cream with blood dripping down her leg. Now, I'm sorry to be so graphic, but this woman has told this specific story on so many occasions and spoke of it as it was some horribly traumatic incident for her. And then she has the gall to say something not only traumatizing but truly upsetting for anyone who's been a victim of childhood molestation themselves. I can guarantee you that she opened wounds for thousands of people upon hearing her say that. And that smug look she gave right after she said it, I'm actually going to slow it down. I slowed this down for you guys just to get a better look at her expression after she made this statement. Look at the look on her face. Look at the smug, like, yeah, I just said that look. It just really bothered me. And I was hoping if I went through it this way with you guys that you would get a better look at what I see here. Just look at how she pursed her lips, just an almost egotistical, I can say whatever I want and do whatever I want as I'm ahead of Mason in the Eastern Star Division. A lot of celebrities, the ones that are classified as female, have to answer to Oprah. She's one of the gatekeepers, so to speak. I hope you guys can see what I see here. And one other thing that I noticed and wanted to slow down for you guys was the audience's reactions to the crap that was coming out of Oprah's mouth. I can't help but think that all of these audiences in these different talk shows are plants, or at least all of the ones that they get shots of and put on television. That, or they're editing in reactions to different statements that are being made and just rearranging the whole thing. Because, really, could every single person there be that brainwashed and naive? I cannot bring myself to believe that this would be the reaction of every person in the audience after she says something so twisted and really just not true for 99.9% of children who have been molested. And then they pan over to the audience nodding in agreement constantly, just nodding in agreements to everything that this woman says. Like, whatever Oprah says has to be taken as gospel. You know how people say if it's on the internet, it must be true? Well, by the looks of this audience, it would appear that every one of them believes, well, if Oprah's saying it, it must be true. Now, this is what one of the men that was molested by Micheal Jackson as a boy had to say after Oprah stated that it feels good. I personally just feel absolutely disgusting and disturbed even repeating what she said. I'm telling you, she opened wounds for a lot of people here.
Part for me in beginning therapy, that was one of the biggest things I kept bringing to therapy was, What does it mean that it felt good? What does that mean about me?
Now, his response even bothered me. The mind control at play here is very subtle, but it can be seen. This is all a part of the agenda to normalize pedophilia. You have this victim who is completely agreeing with what Oprah just said. Now, even if what he is saying about how this made him feel as a child in that moment was true, the follow-up statement of how he discussed this in therapy states within itself that this messed him up. Even if you were to believe that children out there are enjoying this or are promiscuous in some type of way, which is disgusting and I assure you is pretty much never, ever, ever the case. Saying or claiming that the child is or was being promiscuous is almost always the pedophile's statement or defense upon being caught. This is most certainly all a part of the agenda. This is the manipulation of the masses yet again. We saw it in the 90s on Geraldo, Joan Rivers, and Donahue with the club kids. Now this. This is just another step forward or the next move in the agenda at hand. And another thing that I observed was when Oprah was introducing this doctor that was sitting in the audience, she really played up his introduction, as did he, standing up and waving to everyone behind him with this fake smile on his face. He reminded me of pageant winning girls in a parade. You know, when they're seated in the back of like 1950s convertible cars, waving at everyone with fake smiles on all their faces. Anyway, I noticed when Oprah introduced him, she said he treated over 1,000 sexual assault victims in his career, like it was some huge number. I'm pretty sure she even repeated the number a second time, really dramatically, like over 1,000. For a doctor, that's not like at all a high number, especially a man at his age. Most of my doctors probably have 1,500 patients at any given time. And Oprah says this number like it's something to be glorified. Sometimes I feel like they say things like that just to see how stupid we all are. Over 1,000. And he's like 70 years old. I don't know, maybe 65. Even if he only practiced for 35 years, it would only be like 28 patients a year. And if he practiced for 30 years, this is what I found interesting, because you know numerology is a big deal with these people. If he practiced for 30 years and treated 1,000 patients, we divide 1,000 patients by 30 years because you would just figure someone who's 65-ish would have finished med school and started treating his own patients around the age of 35. So we have 30 years in practice, right? Well, you divide 1,000 by 30 and we get 33.33333, and it just keeps going. I just thought you guys would find that interesting as well as I did. Maybe not. I don't know. I just know that Oprah, amongst many other celebrities and elite, are Kabbalists, and I just don't think that this was a coincidence. Then Oprah went on to push in some more about how sexual assault feels good for a young, terrified child.
Confusing for children. Yeah. And when I first said this years ago, people were like, "You're crazy," because everybody wants to believe it's like sexual assault and you're being thrown up against the wall and you're being raped. And I have said for years, if the abuser is any good, you won't even know it's happened. You will be in it and you won't even know it's happened. And if the abuser is any good, he or she is going to make you feel like you're a part of it.
You see the audience there? You see how they all nod in agreement? These in-between shots of the audience all reacting to what she is saying like this is no mistake at all. Especially this blonde woman here up front. She nods so assuredly. Even the way she is blinking adds to the manipulation of how you as a viewer are absorbing this information. All of her gestures add to the assurance of what Oprah just said. And even the way that Oprah says, if the abuser is any good, she looks directly into the camera and puts emphasis on the word good. Just watch how she says that, just that line one more time.
I have said for years, if the abuser is any good, you won't even know it's happened.
You know, it almost seems like she's giving instructions here. I'm sorry, but even at a very young age, now, obviously I can't speak for all children, but most children, no, they don't know what exactly has happened, but they do know that whatever has happened was wrong, or in the least bit they know it was off and it didn't feel right. Then if the abuser makes it a secret to be kept, the child knows all the more that their feelings about whatever action has taken place being wrong, and that their feeling that it is wrong is spot on. Children are not as naive as most people think. Most children are a lot smarter than they're given credit for. Adults tend to forget how much they actually knew and understood when they were children themselves. Now, the last clip from this show that I want to show you is what Oprah said right before she said that really grotesque statement about a 7-year-old boy. I only want to play this for you guys because it is another example of manipulating people to go along with this agenda. How she starts her statement out is probably true in 95% of abuse cases in children. She says it's probably going to be someone you know, then goes into saying that the victim would enjoy molestation. Now, she doesn't say enjoy, but she states that it feels good, and saying that is saying the same thing.
It's probably going to be somebody you know.
Right.
In order for it to work, it has to be somebody you know, somebody you admire, somebody you respect, or maybe even love. And it feels good. I mean, if you're 7 years old and somebody, which I was trying to say this to my friends who had children, you're 7 years old and
what makes what she said manipulation is the fact that she started out saying something completely true, to which everyone is nodding in agreement to, then goes into something that could only be classified, and that's if you're even going to classify such a grotesque statement, but something that could only be classified as a personal opinion. And because everyone is already really zoned in and agreeing with the previous statement, it alters the brain's reception and perceptance of the latter statement. The last thing I want to talk to you guys about is Oprah's statement that the entire Jackson family tried to cover up and bury Michael's actions. And this is where my conversation with Barb from YTchannel came in about Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, Oprah stated during the show that everyone in Michael Jackson's family defended his actions, and this simply is not true. LaToya Jackson on several different occasions tried to speak out about it. I found 3 separate interviews of her speaking out, and that was with minimal search time. Her first time speaking out about what Michael was doing was on an MTV interview on Tel Aviv, Israel, and here's some of what she said.
This is very difficult for me, that Michael is my brother. I love him a great deal, but I cannot and I will not be a silent collaborator of his crimes against small, innocent children. And if I remain silent, then that means that I feel the guilt and the humiliation that these children are feeling, and I think it's very wrong. I have seen checks payable to the parents of these children, and I don't know if these children were apparently bought.
Now, she spoke up. She also stated in several interviews that her whole family stopped speaking to her after she spoke out. Not only did they stop speaking to her, they were messing with her career and cut her off financially. And this is where the family being witnesses comes in. LaToya was excommunicated for speaking out about something that is not only common, but hidden and secretly or blindly accepted, covered up, and defended amongst the witnesses themselves. Please go give YTchannel's video a look if you want to understand more what really goes on within the Jehovah's Witnesses. She was raised as a witness and gives a first-hand insight of what's happening. LaToya says she doesn't know if the children were basically being bought because we're talking substantial sums of money here. She goes on to state just more what should really be obvious to everyone, facts about the matter.
They don't. Now you stop and you think for 1 second and you tell me what 35-year-old man is going to take a little boy and stay with him for 30 days and take another boy and stay with him for 5 days in a room and never leave the room. How many of you out there are 35 years old? How many men are out there? How many would take little kids and do that are 9, 10, 11 years old? I love my brother, but it's wrong. I don't want to see these kids hurt.
She so very clearly tried to make everyone see, and she was trying to use common sense statements, and yet the crazed fans of Michael still argue to this day that he's innocent. Sometimes I have a really hard time understanding the just ignorance of the masses. Now, the last part of this particular interview I want to show you guys is part of the reason I believe Oprah made it a point to say no one in the Jackson family spoke out against Michael, or at least she said they all defended him. She didn't want to draw any unneeded attention to LaToya Jackson's statements, because what LaToya kept making very clear in all of her statements was that her personal sexual molestation did not in any way feel good to her, that she wanted to protect the children, and that her personal experience prevented her from ever having a relationship with her abuser, who was also Michael's abuser, their father.
These checks that Michael had written to these children, and it's for a great amount, and I'm not speaking pennies. The sums are very, very large amounts. And this is my first time talking about it, and I never want to speak about it. I never want to say anything about it. But I think it's sad because I am a victim myself, and I know what it feels like. And these kids are going to be scarred for the rest of their life, and I don't want to see any more innocent small children being affected this way. I love Michael very dearly, but I feel even more sorry for these children because they don't have a life.
So I have 2 more clips of LaToya speaking out that I want to show you guys. The last one is really low quality, and I apologize for that. But the next one I'm going to show you is from Good Morning America, which makes Oprah saying every single Jackson tried to cover up what Michael did, just bold, to say the least.
I know of, and my mother has actually shown me these things. She's the one that was outraged and brought them to me, that were checks that were written to the little boy's parents. And there are 2 checks that I know of that she has shown me, and it's for a substantial amount of money. And she was outraged over it.
How much money and what?
Again, LaToya was trying to make it very clear that Michael Jackson was writing checks for very, very large sums of money to the children's parents. Now, LaToya also keeps stating that Michael's mother was outraged, but this, unfortunately, is something their mother has never said on camera. And this would be because of the belief of the witnesses. She did not want to be cut off, not only financially, but no one in the family or community would talk to them either. Because once you're excommunicated, that's how it goes. And it's a lot like the Masonic Brotherhood, where secrets and crimes are kept in-house and then also dealt with in-house. So LaToya speaking up for these kids went against everything that they believed. So then, unfortunately, Michael's mother never corroborated her statements. The last clip I'm going to show you guys is from Inside Edition, and again, I apologize that it isn't the best quality, but it's only like 15 seconds long, and I just wanted to prove that LaToya Jackson said this on so many different occasions, that Michael was guilty.
Why think that right away? Maybe your brother's getting married and...
Because I know him. I know that he doesn't have an interest in money. I know, not that kind of way.
Any woman?
No, absolutely not. He would never touch a woman. He would say it. Oh, can't stand them. He would just say it. I can't stand them.
So there you have it. LaToya Jackson said over and over and over again that Michael was guilty. She said it in as many interviews that the media mongols were willing to give her. And you know what I noticed about LaToya's statement that was completely different from Oprah's? LaToya's statement never changed. Her story was always the same. You know when the story stays the same and it never alters? When it's the truth. See, Oprah, she's told her sexual assault story in the past as if it was a horrible, horrifying, and it just completely traumatized her, right? Then she goes on air to state that children think molestation feels good. You see the change in her story? You know when the storyline changes as time goes on? When it's complete BS, and only when it's complete BS. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please give it a like to help get it more views. The more likes it gets, the better chance it gets picked up by the algorithm and people see it. Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you guys all think about what Oprah said. And also let me know how you felt when you heard it. I'm actually curious if anyone was as infuriated as I was. Also, if you're a new subscriber, make sure you hit the notification bell so you will know when I post a video. And if you have hit the bell and you don't get notifications for my videos, make sure it's still hit, as some people are not at all being notified when I post a new video. And I don't post multiple times a day. I don't even post daily, so I won't be constantly dinging on your phone. You can also follow me on Twitter at HeCsUsAll1. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell, obviously. And please go subscribe to my backup channel here on YouTube. I got a strike on this channel over my Peppa Pig video, and I just want you guys to know where to find me if anything happens with this one. My second channel is called HeCsUsAll 2, and I'm going to link it in the description box also. Make sure you go subscribe because I'm going to be putting a new video up there this week that won't be on this channel. I'm actually going to be starting to put content up there as well that you won't see here, things that I might be nervous to put here, and also because I want you guys to be able to find me if something happens to this channel, like I said. That channel's not currently monetized, so obviously this isn't a money thing or anything like that. Honestly, I don't even post enough content to make any money off of AdSense, and 99% of my videos are demonetized. So believe it or not, I haven't received one dime yet since monetization from AdSense. You have to meet a $100 threshold, and I haven't met it yet, and really I'm nowhere near meeting it, so yeah, there's that. I don't know. So anyways, I thank you guys so much for joining me in this video. I hope you all join me in my next, and I hope you've all been doing well. May God continue to bless you, brothers and sisters, and keep you safe in the ever darker days that lie ahead of us all.